Hi and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a little bit different from the usual videos I make. I actually think it's ridiculous that I even have to make this video, but I'm doing it because I need to clarify a few of the comments, the more controversial comments that I've made more recently on my channel, because even though 99.9% of you agree with me on it, there is a very hardcore 0.1% who are quite viciously attacking me at the moment, going after me in all different kinds of ways for some of the comments I've made. And this brings me on to point number one, actually. Most of these people are on the extreme left politically. Now, again, let me explain this. I'm not saying on the left, just as I'm not saying on the right. I'm saying these people seem to be quite extreme on the left who are going after me quite viciously. So that's the first point I want to mention. A lot of people keep saying that I am against people politically who sit on the left, or they're Democrats, or whatever you want to say, depending on the country. And that's actually not true at all. As many of you know, I sit very neutral politically. I believe the political system is quite corrupt anywhere, depending on which country you look at. Even in very modern democratic nations, I just don't believe that we have good political systems. I feel that we have a lot of special interest groups which dictate a lot of the policy measures, and as we say, to buy votes. So really, I don't care. It makes no difference to me, as a subscriber of mine, whether you sit on the left or whether you sit on the right. It makes no difference at all. But the attacks tend to be coming from this extreme group at the moment against me because of some of the comments that I've made. Now, let me move on to the next point, is that I am an economist, okay? And economists look at financial data, or we look at very specific data. So it's a numbers game, right? We don't really look at emotion. We don't care what the media is saying or what the news is saying. What we look at are the numbers and the data. And actually, the most heat I'm taking is from giving you the data, giving the numbers, because we live in this society now where you can't even give numbers. The numbers are, and I'll quote a mainstream media outlet then, it doesn't matter about the numbers. What matters are the people. And this is just absurd to me. It's absolutely crazy that we're now going down this route of the numbers and the statistics don't count. And you can probably guess what I'm referring to here, but this brings me on to my second point, which is around lockdowns. Now, a lot of finance and economics isn't just the numbers, although that's the bulk of it. You also have that human element that we need to look at. So we need to look at what the impact is on lockdowns. And we're already seeing that. And that's what I talk about. And this is what I'm taking the heat for. Because a lot of the politicians or policymakers, they can't see what happens long term. They can't see the long-term effects of what's happening here. But I can, because I'm good at forecasting out 2-3 years. I know what's going to happen as a result of all the new money creation that we're creating. It's going to cause inflation. It's going to cause rising prices for you and I, for your families. It's going to make your supermarket bills more. It's going to make your utility bills more. It's going to push all your prices up, whilst at the same time, it's going to destroy your savings. This is a fact. I don't know why I'm getting attacked over this. This is a fact. There is also other things which, again, I'm not even allowed to talk about, but I'll mention without going into detail. Things like the mental health, the suicide rate. Just look into these things for yourself, since we're on a censored platform. I talk about a lot of this stuff on my private platform. If you ever are interested, and again, it doesn't matter if you're for or against me, you're more than welcome. We welcome everyone in that platform where we talk about this sort of stuff. But to say that we're not going to look at the alternative data from lockdowns is just absurd, because you can see it for yourself. Before, people called me a conspiracy theorist for saying that all the businesses are going to start collapsing. And people said, no, they're not. They'll reopen, etc. Open your eyes, walk to your local mall, walk to your local high street, and you will see for yourself that businesses are collapsing, they're disappearing. And I find it absurd, these attacks I'm getting, saying, no, the businesses are just taking all of their, equipment out so they don't get ransacked. Where? Are you talking about Portland, Oregon? Are you talking about some of these places where, you have these looting and the like? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about posh English neighborhoods or posh English towns where you go to. I was just in Stratford-upon-Avon. And that is, I've never been there when it hasn't been bursting at the seams with people. This is the birthplace of William Shakespeare. Huge, bursting at the seams. I've just been there. Everything is just closed. You've got a few, the smaller supermarkets open. But apart from that, everything is closed. And some of the businesses are they've collapsed, they're empty. Now, people who say that has no impact on the economy, I don't know what world they're living in to say that this doesn't affect jobs. How can it not affect jobs? If a business collapses, obviously the jobs go. What do these people, I don't understand what they're thinking. Where do they think these jobs are going to magically go? There isn't just this magic jobs pool where you get, paid for your salary if you're not working. Although that's what our government, the UK government, is doing right now with a program called furlough. But look, ladies and gentlemen, furlough has to end at some point. They can't keep it going forever. And what do you think is going to happen when furlough ends? What do you think is going to happen when all the unemployment benefits ends? This is just common sense and logic. Don't take my word for it. Look at historical economic data, and it will show you for yourself what's going to happen. Which really leads me on to point number 3 then, which is what I've taken a lot of heat over, and that is empty hospitals. Now, again, I want to be very clear on this. There's a very big difference between empty hospitals and empty COVID wards. This is just common sense to me. And people are taking what I say out of context. So let me just give you an example. I might say I like iPhones because I have an iPhone. This group of people are saying, so if you like iPhones, that means you hate and despise all people that have a Samsung. Well, you are a despicable human being and da-da-da. This is the ludicrous nature of a number of these people who seem to love YouTube and getting involved in these discussions and reporting my videos and causing me a lot of problems. I'm already on my 2nd strike now with YouTube. I don't even think I deserve 1 strike, let alone 2 strikes. So this is the situation I'm in. So let me be very clear. I have never said at any point that COVID or the COVID wards are empty. And I'll tell you why I've never said that. Because I have 4 or 5 mentoring clients who are doctors and nurses who work in the COVID wards. Okay? So I know exactly what's going on in the COVID wards in hospitals in both the UK, Germany, and the USA, where my clients work in these wards. So I know what's going on. When I heard all these reports at the start, people saying, it's just a massive scam, as I always do, I looked into this myself and I asked my clients what is actually, what are the symptoms, what happens, and they told me all sorts of things about, the x-rays on the lungs and, all these other things I won't go into. So I said, okay, so there is some basis for this. It isn't just some big, scam or whatever. And that is my viewpoint on it. So I don't even think I need to make that clear, but that is my viewpoint on it. I don't think COVID is a big scam. Again, I don't believe the narrative that some bat flew along and did a drop-in on a pig and the pig went to see his friend, the dog, and the dog licked his nose and all this sort of I don't believe that narrative. I believe there's something a lot more to this. But the fact is, when the media companies say, and they come out very strongly against people who have any alternative narratives, and they say, well, that person's spreading fake news and they should be banned and things like that. But then 5 minutes later, they say, we still don't know the origin. Well, how can you say certain things are incorrect and conspiracy theories if you don't know yourself? So personally, I leave everything open and I want to wait until things come out so I can make a decision on this. But to be honest, it makes no difference either way. How it started, where it came from. We've got it, it's here, and it's causing a lot of problems. So to all the medical staff who are upset with me at the moment, I think that upset is misplaced because I actually have nothing but praise for all medical personnel. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm really grateful for you. Whenever I've been ill, and I have been in the past, especially when I was in the army, I've needed severe treatments before. And I'm always grateful. I always have been. I've been grateful whenever my family have had medical treatment. So I just want to be clear on that. I'm very grateful for everything you do. But just to wrap up on the final point around COVID there, I do think it's wrong that the media are, and again, not just mainstream media, but now the tech companies are censoring any form of free speech around this discussion. I think that's very wrong. I think that what should be allowed is a discussion around this, All facts should be on the table. All medical experts should be allowed to speak and should be allowed to give their opinions. Otherwise, what is the point, ladies and gentlemen, in our society if there is censorship and people are not allowed to have free speech anymore? Would you even say that is a free society? I would say possibly not. So of course, let me just summarize on this point. Every single death is a tragedy, and I'm not taking anything away from that, and I just want to be very clear on that. But I do believe that we should be allowed to have the actual statistics, data and facts on this whole situation, on the survival rate. We should be allowed to know a little bit more about the after effects, what happens after you've had the condition. All of this sort of stuff should be public domain. None of it should be censored. I actually did a Google search, which, yeah, there you go. You're going to say, well, don't search on Google. And I wanted to find out what is the survival rate from people who contract COVID. And you will not find it. If you don't believe me, do the search for yourself. It won't actually show you a percentage, even though I can get it from the CDC website or the World Health Organization, for example. It will not show you a percentage. In fact, what it says is loads of articles on fake news and why the percentage doesn't matter. And all the reasons are emotional reasons, and it says things like, it doesn't matter because even one death is too much and we should lock down the economy or the world over one death. And that to me is absurd. That would be like saying we need to stop all people driving because of how many people die in car accidents every day. I think the data should be out there. I think we should be allowed to know all of these points. And then moving away from COVID and talking about my fifth and final point here, which was about the Capitol incident at Washington, D.C. Again, I took a ridiculous amount of heat for that. So what I've done is I've looked at the comment that I made and my assessment, and I've reassessed it. And actually, I'm not changing my opinion on what I've said now that I've looked at it, because what I've done is I've gone onto Twitter, I've gone onto Parler, I've gone on to look at a number of the live feeds from the day to see if I'm wrong or the let's say the extreme sort of left-wing media are wrong around that. And I stand by what I said. And I'll give you an example of this. Actually, what I said was I believed it was about 100 hardcore people who actually attacked the building. So when I talk about the word attack, okay, let's look at the semantics of this. This is something like they're physically doing something or they're attacking. What I disagree with is the media that said that it was an attack by 10,000 strong. It was a crowd 10,000 strong who attacked the Capitol building. That is not correct. And we can say that's not linguistically correct if you want to argue over this, if you prefer that. So looking at the footage again, okay, maybe it was more than 100 people. Maybe it was, say, 300 people. But it wasn't 10,000 people. And I stand by that. I've looked at all the feeds. It wasn't 10,000 people. And to put this into context, because I know many people have never served in the military, but I have. And I've served on FOBs, forward operating bases. If you have just 10 people attacking a FOB, that's a pretty serious thing. If you have 100 people, but you better believe me that you are praying that day. Okay. Now, when you get to 1,000 people or 10,000 people, I mean, the whole building would have been destroyed if 10,000 people swarmed and attacked that building. It just wouldn't still be, it's ridiculous. I'm not even going to get into it. There's no way 10,000 people got inside that building and the whole building would have been destroyed. It would have been so badly vandalized that it's not even worth talking about. So I'm not taking away from it. Obviously, I don't condone that. And, none of those guys are my friends. If I saw them on the street, I wouldn't stop and have a conversation with them. Let's just say that. Again, I don't even know who some of those people were, if they really were, hardcore Trump supporters. Who knows? You never know in this day and age. I know when I was in the military, one of the things that we used to do in certain countries was we would dress up as locals and we would go and walk in certain places, the bazaars and the markets, we drive around. Does that make me a local? No, it doesn't. Okay, so there's all this stuff going on. You and I, we have no idea of knowing what the truth is around some of the things that took place that day. There just isn't any way. And even if there was an alternative motive to some of those people, you're not going to hear about it. The media wouldn't put that out because it doesn't fit that agenda. So again, I'm probably getting into more controversy here by saying some of these points, but I think I've probably made everything clear now around my points. This video is not an apology either for anyone that's going to start making more videos or articles out of this saying that I'm apologizing. I'm not apologizing for any of the points that I've said. I'm one of these people. If my integrity is called into question, I will apologize straight away. I'll put it right that very second. I don't care about how bad it makes me look, because that is what integrity is. Integrity is being truthful no matter what the consequences. So I hope I've clarified all of these points now, and that the purge of certain subscribers or trying to cause trouble for me slows down or stops. But at the end of the day, if you don't like what I'm saying on my channel or you disagree with it, don't watch. It's that easy. You just unsubscribe, you stop watching. But if you do like it, what I talk about, and you like the fact that it's common sense and logical, and it isn't swayed by bias, then obviously support the channel. Share the videos, share this with other people, and I think I've probably clarified everything on this video now. Thank you so much if you have watched it to the end. I appreciate you if you are a hardcore subscriber and supporter of me. Thank you so much, and God bless.